Okay. Okay, good afternoon, everybody joining us. Um, we have actually started. I don't know, wherever you are, please can you please tell, just write a comment, say something, your name, your location, where you are viewing from Nigeria. We know the school is not in session, so most of the students are viewing from their homes. So you could tell us, I am Chinechere. Um, if you are present, say something before we run. Begin. Oh, I can see Kechuku, thank God she became easy, saying beautiful. Okay, Ikechuku, thank God. Where are you viewing from? Okay. So please, could you write something if you are watching via YouTube, via Facebook? Make a comment on the comment box. Say something. Tell us your name. Tell us where you are viewing from, and Today promises to be a very beautiful day. If your day has been bad so far, the bad day is about to end as you're about to hear something important, something that would make will be an eye opener and something very informative, instructive, and educative. Okay. I think presently we are having viewers across all streams. We are having from Facebook, from YouTube, and Africa of Our Dreams Initiative, their website. Okay. Nwegu Tochukwu praise. I can see you, so I'm already seated. Nwegu Tochukwu praise is the SCSM president. Yeah, as expected, the president came on time. You are welcome. So if you are joining us, please can you make a comment? Tell us where you are watching from. Not only the social media platform, but then your location, your physical location. Are you in Lagos? Are you in UK? Are you where are you? I can see Nicholas, Alex, Andre. Nicholas say, I'm here live. Yeah, you are here live. And we are here live with you. So just grab your seats. Don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. Once we have 10 viewers, we run. Presently, we are at 8. 2 more persons to join. Please, you could tell your friends on WhatsApp that the event we've been talking about has started. We are not waiting for any other person. We are not waiting for any other person. Before I introduce the speaker, I would like to tell us that this event is brought to us by American Chemical Society, University of Nigeria, Nsukka chapter. And because we're in partnership with SCSN, Society for Chemical Students of Nigeria, we have had huge support from them. And okay, Praise is watching from Anambra. Praise, you are welcome once again. Oh, Olejeme Precious has joined. Olejeme Precious, I know you are viewing, or yes, you are joining us from Lagos, but then you could still tell us your location. Anyway, in Nigeria, many people hide their locations because of many things. So, like I was saying, this event is brought to us courtesy of American Chemical Society, University of Nigeria, and Soka chapter, and student chapter 2. And before I introduce our speaker, I would like to say one or two things about ACS. Okay, okay. Okay. One of us, Irene, has joined. Irene, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Um, I hope the nose mask is not for you not to get
Sorry,
infected.
I was in I was in a gathering. I was in a training, a job training. So I just had to step out. I'm so sorry for being late. So the mask
No
is not for
problem.
you guys.
Okay,
Mm,
no problem. You're welcome.
yeah. Thank you.
So we're going to run with the first presentation. Um, it's just a little talk, a brief talk that is going to last probably less than 10 minutes, 5 minutes,
Only 5 minutes.
10 minutes,
Yeah.
and we go into full the full topic of the day, or the our main topic for the webinar. So I really going to give us a brief talk on ACS. What is American Chemical Society? I know a whole number of us are asking that question. You want to join, you want to know what it is about, how can you join? When you join, are you about to go to America? Um, Such might be your questions. But Irene is going to provide answer, answers to those questions in little time. So Irene is a PhD scholar in the University of Nigeria, Department of Industrial Chemistry, and she's also the ACS secretary for UNN Chapter.
Hello, everyone. My name is Irene. Chinechem, should I start?
Yes, you can. Please do.
Um, I'll need to share my screen so that we there. I don't know. Can what is going on with the sharing of the screen, the slides? It's not coming up properly.
I think these are coming up.
Okay. I think I have. I did not get it right. I did not do that properly. Okay.
Perfect. I can see your screen now.
You can see my screen now. So first of all, I would like to say what ACS means. ACS means American Chemical Society. Yeah, it's an association for chemists or people that are in chemistry allied fields like biochemistry, pharmacy, chemical engineering, any field that has to do with chemistry can be a member of ACS. This slide shows the history of ACS, how it started by in 1876 by 35 chemists who met at the College of Pharmacy. Over time, over the years, more people have joined, and now we have 158,000 members across 140 countries. Then you can see the journal readership, and you can see the grants that are being shared yearly. So then, what is the mission of SES? The mission of SES is to advance the broader chemistry enterprise and its practitioners for the benefit of Earth and its people. Now, today is World Nature Conservation Day, and currently chemistry is going into green chemistry. We are looking at how to conserve chemistry, to conserve the earth, that's nature, going by our chemical practices. So we are tilting towards green chemistry. You can hear about green nanochemistry, green organic chemistry. We are trying to see how to limit the toxic effluent being discharged into the environment. So that's why today being the World Nature Conservation Day, ACS, this UNN chapter decided to have this conversation with you to know about how to conserve the earth, because ACS really cares about it and its people. Then what is our vision in ACS? Our vision is to improve people's lives through the transforming power of chemistry. Yeah. What do we do at ACS? We advance science. We educate the public like we're doing now. We advocate for chemistry. We support future chemists. We enable career development, and we promote diversity. I will give more pointers to this, more highlights to these pointers. What we value a passion for chemistry and the global enterprise. So anyone that has a passion for chemistry is welcome to be a member. This is by your publications, by your research, by the things you read about chemistry and the things that are trying to do on your own. You can share it with us, and there are journals. There are well over We have over 1.3 million journals in our archives in SES National. So you can check that. You, you can check that out. Then focus on members. We care about our members, their career growth. Yeah, we can help you to advance your career development, and we can help you with your resources, educational resources. There are job fairs, then even conferences, attending conferences, getting to see what people are doing, getting to see things that would interest you, which you may not have known, or maybe you were not doing it. Yeah, so then there are mentoring and student programs. Yeah, you can find a scholar that interests you and become his or her mentee. Then there are collaborations. We love to collaborate with other chemistry bodies. For instance, what we're having now, we partner with SCSN, UNN. Yeah, so just generally, our members, we love to give them information and collaborative thinking to inspire not just us, but the future generations. Then professionalism, safety, and ethics. Chemistry has to do with hands-on practicals. You will deal with chemicals, and it is very important that you are safe, because accidents have happened over the years from the wrong use of sometimes not wrong use, but accidents to happen. So we emphasize on safety. We advocate for safety. We would implore that you understand the chemicals that you are working with and the chemical processes that go on when that is happening to avoid so that you can take the necessary caution and be safe. Then diversity, inclusion, and respect. SES is a body that does not discriminate. We go across cross cultural boundaries. We everybody can be a part of SES. LGBTQ, the physically challenged, um, chemists of all ages, students. That is why we have the student chapters. We have the PG students to be part of it. Then we have the high school chemistry clubs. That's secondary school chemistry clubs where we go and try to educate them on what we are about. At least in our chapter, since we started in November, we have gone to the secondary school in the university and we have talked to the students, we have carried out practicals with them to educate them on how to do it right, and even going to the marketplaces to teach them those that grind things and are not aware of what they are inhaling and how it is affecting their lungs, their body. So we include everyone. We respect everybody. There is inclusion, diversity, and respect in chemistry. And even we have a women chemists committee for women so that they'll feel really included. Yeah. So what else? What do we advocate for? Like I said, we work to promote public policies that advance the chemistry enterprise and its practitioners. Why should you join ACS? Well, general reasons to enhance your peer and professional network, as you meet people that can help you achieve your career goal. Then you get advice from your superiors. You get information and resources. Once you join ACS, you get the mails. Once there is a new journal publication in your area of interest, you get the mail and you can have access to it. A big plus for your CV, yeah, you belong to a good association, an international association. Be at the frontier of your field, yes, because all new discoveries are sent to your mail, and you are expected to read and be up to par to know what is going on. Specific reasons, research grants, yeah, if you have a viable research and and you put your proposal together, you can get the grant. We have, like I showed earlier, $2.5 million grant is there for us here. So if you have a good proposal that befits getting a grant, you can get it. Scholarships, leadership training, conference travels grants. At least our chapter can talk about this, that some of our members went for a conference from the grant, from our startup grant that we got here. Internships, summer jobs. So that's about all for what you should know about ACS briefly. Yeah. Thank you. I hope I didn't take too much time. Hello, Chinecherem, are you there?
It took your-
I'm
Yes, I'm
done.
here.
I'm
Thank you
done.
very much, Irene.
Oh, that took quite a while. Thank you too.
Thank you very much, Irene. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I believe in the great
Nietzsche,
And
actually, we can
we
hear you.
can. Okay, you
We
can
can't
hear
hear
me.
you, so forget about the introduction. I think we should just get started. We've wasted a lot of time, and
Okay, okay,
I
okay.
think let's just get the ball rolling. Okay. I don't know what's wrong with your speaker, but we really can't hear you.
No problem. So let's get started.
All right. Thank you, everyone. I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to have been invited to give the talk on the occasion of the celebration of conservation that the American Chemical Society UNN branch is currently on. So today I've been asked to speak on the role of chemistry in environmental sustainability. And yeah, I'm quite happy to do that and to kind of share my own view about what I think about sustainability and the role that chemistry itself can actually play in trying to make sure that our environment, the economic and social welfare of the people are kept sustainable. So without wasting any time, um, the highlight of my presentation is going to begin with stating the problem. So we are going to look at the waves of innovations and where we actually got it all wrong. And then from there, we're going to move into understanding what sustainability actually means to you, to me, and to everyone out there. And then looking at the three key pillars of sustainability, sustainable development, as well as the environmental sustainability itself. So under that, we'll be looking at the three R's and what they mean, and the circular economy and their role in trying to make sure that whatever activity we do on Earth is sustainable. Then at the midpoint, I'm going to kind of allow you to ask some questions so that it doesn't sound boring that I will be the only one talking for more than 30 minutes of that. So I take some questions on whatever it is that I must have said, but I want to advise you that as the presentation is going on, just continue to pop in your question, your comments. We are here to share views, right? It's not only about you listening to my own view. I'm going to say a whole lot of things that might contradict what you believe in. You can share that, and then we can start talking about that. That's the only way we kind of learn. And so the second part of the presentation is going to deal with chemistry itself and environmental sustainability. So you're going to look at sustainable chemistry as well as green chemistry and the relationship between them. And then we'll move down to the 12 principles of green chemistry, because green chemistry is actually a tool that chemistry has used to kind of endeavor move into the sustainable thing that we're going to be talking about. So without wasting time, we move straight. I would like to look at the wave of innovation and where we got it wrong. Why are we even talking about sustainability today? We are talking about sustainability because there are a whole lot of things that are happening around the globe, around our surroundings, which affects our health, our social welfare, our economic welfare, and all of that. And they are no longer sustainable. We continue to destroy the earth, our environment, with human activities. So before we can even talk about sustainability, which is actually the sixth wave of innovation that is going on around the globe, it's good that we try to understand how all this actually started. So we have the first wave of innovation, which is the Industrial Revolution, as you might say it, where the mechanization of using iron, the processes and steam engines. Then you move all the way to the second wave of innovation, where steel and railroads have been constructed, the use of steam power. At this point, the environment was still sustainable. So we are not trying to carry out some human activities that affect the environment we live in. But from the third wave of industrial revolution, where we started having electricity, we started production of chemicals, we started looking at cars, then you see that human activities started impacting negatively on the environment. And you can see that this wave of innovation is spearheaded by chemists. So the production and the invention of series of chemicals, which probably have helped us to get to where we are today, have now become toxic, both to human health and to our environment. Then you move all ahead, you begin to have the wave where petrochemicals, electronics, and aviation space travel become another trend of industrial revolution. Then you talk about the biotech, the IT, and all of it. And right now, what the global stage is all about is climate change. What can we do to remedy the past actions that we've done in order to kind of make sure that the environment we live in is sustainable for future generations? So you can see that the introduction, why at that time it was a very big invention, that chemistry was able to make inventions that could help humans, but nobody thought about the impact of these activities, both on our health and on the environment. And right now we can see the impact glaring before us, and there is need for us to rethink about the activities that we do that impact on the environment. And so moving next, I would like to look at the consequences of some of these human early innovations. Today, we look at good gas flaring that is still occurring, for instance, in Nigeria, the Niger Delta region. You can see what the oil exploration is doing there, series of climate change, drought, look at the agriculture part, burning of fossil fuels, desertification, contamination, and destruction of aquatic lives. All these are impacts of human activities on our environment, polluting the entire environment that we cherish so much. So to this, I will simply ask a very simple question to the audience, to those who are listening. What does sustainability actually mean to you? So if you have something in mind, just pop it into the chat and I will be able to see them here. But while we are waiting for that response from you, I will try to share one or two things about what I think sustainability means to a whole lot of people. For some people, sustainability would mean preserving or maintaining resources that they've got. For others, it might be about the capacity to endure or to continue in a process or in anything that you are trying to do. While some others, we also see sustainability as a way of preserving resources and energy over a long period of time. So that if they are not able to have energy to do a whole lot of things that they want to do, they will simply say that the means through which they are getting those energy is not sustainable. For some people, they can look at the natural habitat and look at its conservation, conservation of materials. When you mention sustainability to them, what comes to their mind is conservation. For others, it could be preservation of natural spaces, while others could also view sustainability as the ability of something to maintain itself. So when you are able to sustain yourself, it could be financially, it could be economically, it could be socially or otherwise. But the fact remains that you have the ability to sustain yourself without external support. So for some people, this is what sustainability is going to mean. And last but not the least on my list is that some people see sustainability as seeking new ways of addressing the relationship between social growth and environmental degradation, which is actually a whole lot of things we are going to be looking at today in this presentation. And all of this meaning of sustainability has actually created a buzzword out there. And for some people, their buzzword could be that sustainability means recycle. So when you mention recycle to them, then it ties them to that sustainability. Or they can just simply use the adoption of the word sustainable. Or they can look at renewable. When you talk about renewable, then it comes to their mind that you are talking about something that is sustainable, or something you can repurpose, or fair trade, as well as eco-friendly, some other things. So these are buzzwords that the word being sustainable has kind of created out there. Now that we understand a brief introduction of what sustainability means for other people and the various ways that people have kind of deployed in order to express their view about how sustainable something might be, let's now look at the 3 pillars of sustainability. So it is unfortunate that in our current society, that the 3 pillars of sustainability tends to antagonize each other. And this is the reason it's making it so difficult for us to agree on terms and stuff that is going to make the world more sustainable. So the 3 pillars that make up the sustainability as we know it is, first, the economic aspect. So when you look at economic, you are looking at the economic viability. How feasible is what you are doing, the activities that you are bringing in? How feasible it is economically? Do we have the economic power, the purchasing power to buy what we need, to cater for our needs? On a long-term management, can we continue to manage something that we have, something we are doing? Can we continue on a long term? Do we have the capacity and the capability to manage it? And then across the globe, how do people feel in terms of trying to manage their resources, in terms of trying to ensure there is this fair trade and what have you? So there is this economic viability which make up of this pillar of sustainability. And then from economic viability, you look at the environment, the economic activities which we are trying to kind of carry out within the planet. What effect does it have on the environment? Are we carrying it out such that the environmental preservation is for sure, is guaranteed? Are we trying to protect nature? Are we preserving wildlife? Are we conserving resources? Are we trying to make sure that the economic activities that we run on the planet does not have adverse effects, both on the environment, that we kind of create more problem for the current generations as well as generations to come? And then the last, but not the least, of the 3 pillars of sustainability is the social equity. So when we look at, we can't say that the world is a sustainable place to live if we've maintained some economic viability and environmental preservation, but social equity is not there. So people want to be treated equally. People want to have the same opportunity. And so when the planet coincides with the people, if people are able to live on the planet in a bearable way, as well as look at the economic viability of a nation, of the globe, and people are able to be treated equal, have equal opportunities to job, to whatever it is that you have out there, and we have economic activities which do not impact negatively on the planet. When we have these 3 sections of sustainability maintained, only then do we say that the world is sustainable. But the problem we usually have is that the people who are championing for the economics are usually in opposition to the environmentalists who are trying to promote for economic activities that will not impact negatively on the planet. And this is completely different from the people who are trying to look at the social welfare and the social equability. But for us to actually make sure that we are able to form a united front in order to ensure that our world is sustainable, we must bring these three pillars together. In the absence of these three pillars being brought together, there is nothing sustainable about what we're going to be doing. So that will lead me to trying to define sustainable development. There are a whole lot of people out there who've tried to kind of come up with an idea of what sustainable development actually means for them. We are looking at sustainability, but we are now talking about using this sustainability to advance development. So the most acceptable definition of sustainable development out there is a development that meets the need of the current generation without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. So you're going to have this equitable distribution of resources. You're going to have economic viability, economic activities that do not impact negatively on the environment. And then people are able to live in the environment where they are not prone to diseases or any significant adverse effects as a result of activities that we've done on Earth having on our health. So for this reason, the United Nations have come up with 17 key items that we are going to be looking at in order to ensure a sustainable development, all the way from poverty, fighting hunger, good health, to peace, justice, life on land, and what have you. If you look at each of these 17 goals of the SDGs, you observe one thing. All of them tries to take into account the three pillars of sustainability, which is the people, that deals with the social equitability. Then you look at the economics, the profits they're making, and then the planet, which is the environment. So there is not going to be any sustainable development if we do not consider all of this. No matter what activity you are doing, we need to start considering all this. So to look at this in a more expanded perspective, you talk about economic development. So we are going to be looking at what activities do we need to do to carry out to ensure economic growth, to look at the profits, private profit that we make, the market expansion, as well as external costs. So all these activities that we are having, what are their impacts on ecological development, which is carrying the capacity to sustain yield, as well as the resources that we're trying to conserve. Then looking at biodiversity and what have you. And then in terms of social development, we look at the local self-reliance of people being able to cater for their needs. We look at the basic human needs, equity, people being treated fairly, people not being discriminated because of color, because of their sexual orientation, because of whatever it is. Treating people, having in mind that you have just one human race and nothing else. Appropriate technology, social accountability. So all these are the development in terms of economic, social, and ecological development that must be considered before we can say that we actually have sustainable development. And so having understand what sustainability means, where we started and why we are even talking about sustainability today, let's look at the topic of today, which is squarely looking at environmental sustainability. And I would define environmental sustainability as responsibly interacting with the planet to maintain natural resources and not jeopardize the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. So you can see where this definition is coined from sustainable development. So the environment is the primary, but not the only consideration within sustainability. It is important to also consider human welfare, right? Therefore, A sustainable society is one that protects natural resources while ensuring social justice as well as economic well-being for all. And so moving ahead from this, the next question I would like to ask everyone that is listening is, how do we ensure environmental sustainability? We know that there is need for us to ensure that, yes, our environment is sustainable, that the activities that we are doing does not impact negatively on the environment. But the question is, how do we do this? There have been a whole lot of talks, people saying a whole lot of things about the whole sustainability thing. But are we matching our words with actions? What are the practical steps that we need to take? And so I'm going to take you through some of this, but the first I want to look at is backcasting. We are not going to even know what we have to do now without looking at backcasting. And what do I mean by backcasting? Backcasting is simply a planning method that starts with you trying to look into the future and then define a desirable future that you want. Then work backwards to identify policies and programs that you will need to carry out in order to reach that future which you've imagined. So now we are trying to imagine a future where we are going to have a sustainable environment, a sustainable economic development, as well as a sustainable social welfare. That is what we've imagined. That is the vision. That is the awareness that we've created. So the backcasting diagram I have there, try to look at point A, which is where we've looked at the future. First, we have to be aware of what is happening around our organization, of course. What are the trends and developments that we can see that will impact our own organization? Even if the technology is not yet ready, even if what we are trying to imagine at that point in time is not yet ready, we define a clear and ambitious goal for the future. Call it a vision, right? And then give this vision a direction. So once we've done that, what we have to do is now fall back to the baseline, which is the point B, and do what? We now have to define where we stand compared to that future which we've imagined. How does our current portfolio look like? Which future projects do you think we have to carry out in order to reach that vision that we've set? What is going well right now and what is not going well? What is our current business model? Which technology do we need to explore if we want to reach that final state? These are the decisions we begin to make at point B. And then the next is the creative solution, which is point C on the diagram, where now we have to identify where we are headed and kind of have defined boundaries of the sandbox we want to play in. We want to start kind of ideating, formalizing these ideas of what we need to do in order to pivot ourselves from a good starting point into this future that we are all looking at. So that is your point C, where you create the solution itself. And then you move all the way to having a plan, which is the decisive plan. We will make mistakes for sure, but be ready to kind of modify whatever mistakes that you are making, and then have a long-term steps. The low-hanging fruit can be done immediately and will actually bring some instant benefits. So for the longer-term initiatives, we need flexible methods like designing, thinking, and lean startup. Since the initiative we take into account the unknown technology that we don't know. This is a future we don't know, but we need to plan it. So without you having that vision, without you looking at the future that you want to create for yourself, and then falling back to your current situation and looking at what you have on board and what you have to do, and being creative with solutions, and then having a plan that will take you from your current position to that future, then you won't be able to actualize the goal you have for the future. So this applies to us dreaming about a sustainable future. We need to apply this backcasting module for a sustainable future. And so I will leave you with these very strong quotes from Lauren Buckle, which said, standing still is the fastest way of moving backwards in a rapidly changing world. So if you do nothing, trust me, you are moving as fast as possible backwards, because the world is really, really changing extremely fast. Then remember that we're still talking about what we need to do to ensure sustainability future, a sustainable environment. Then that leads me, when we've done all of the backcasting thing, setting our goals and objectives, the policies and what we have to do, we look at the core actions we need to carry out, which I've kind of summarized under the 3 R's, which stands for reduce, reuse, recycling. So reduce waste by choosing items with less packaging. How many times have you tried to buy something? Let's say you want to go to a restaurant, you know that they have a takeaway pack that they could use, but in order to kind of help preserve the environment, because most of these takeaway packs are things you're going to use and then you dispose of them, they can't decompose, they are not biodegradable, they continue to pollute the environment. But those little decisions you could make on your own, by, for instance, buying your own flask, that when you want to buy a takeaway, you take your own flask to those booker or wherever you want to buy your food, you get those food, and you come back to your own house. They are very little things, but they matter. Imagine when over 200 million people in Nigeria have considered to not use the takeaway pack that eateries use to serve you. You take your own food container, you take your own food, you eat, you wash, reusable stuff. And then you look at, imagine that you want to use a carton, a box, to pack up what you have. But instead of that, you want to reduce the amount of load or material that is being used to produce this. You can use a cellophane or nylon bag, right? The smaller one, as opposed to using the giant Ecolab to pack your stuffs. These little things are things that will guarantee a sustainable life. They look at reuse, like I've mentioned, buy stuffs, even ordinary cup that you use for drinking water. People go for occasion, for instance, and then you see people using disposable plates and what have you. If you go to occasion and you have your own cup in your bag, it might look awkward because a whole lot of people are trying to kind of look at you as, why is this person carrying his own cup in a bag and all of that? So sometimes the mentality we have is that when people try to live a sustainable life, it kind of portrays to an average Nigerian that these people are poor. It's not true. Those people you are looking at and you think that they are already made, people in the UK, across Europe, in the US, sustainability means a whole lot for them. UK, for instance, is targeting a net zero carbon emission by 2050. So whether they will be able to meet this or not, but within the people around you, you'll be able to see that people are doing a whole lot of things, very little things to contribute to this sustainable development. And then the next is recycling. How are we sure that the materials we are using that we're trying to dispose, we'll be able to recycle them, to convert them into some other materials that we can use and then extend their lifespan? So all these activities, no one cares in Nigeria. Okay, Nigeria is a developing country, but to be honest, the sustainability practice that we are talking about are things that are going to make your economy viable. You spend much more buying new stuffs to show that probably you are not poor, but if you try to reuse and then have a mentality of this sustainability, it helps you to even save. You save and become economically viable. You save the environment. And as well, you are able to have a strong social welfare because you already have what you need and you have the ability to spend, and you live in an environment that can sustain you. Right. So I think it's high time we begin to think about sustainability in the right sense of it, and not just thinking about it, but acting it. So if you don't get any other thing from this presentation today, move out with the 3 R's. Reduce your waste, reuse whatever you can. Anything, for instance, your clothes, which you think you don't need again, you can send them to charity. It elongates the clothes life. There are a whole lot of people out there who can use something that is not of value to you. Make sure that you're looking at things that can be recycled. Over here, I can decide not to buy a particular product from the supermarket because I know that the packaging cannot be recycled. That is the mentality. When consumers begin to think in this direction, then producers will begin to think in the direction of having sustainable production. And so another way we can also look at this sustainability thing is by looking at the circular economy, which kind of ensures that materials that we use go through a cycle, and then at the end of its first usage, you can bring it back into the production unit and then repurpose it for either something else or for the same thing, and the life cycle continues. So under this condition, you are able to make use of the resources, the limited resources we have over and over, and then being able to kind of solve the problems that we face around the world. So the circular economy is a model of production and consumption, which involves sharing, leasing, reusing, repairing, refurbishing, and recycling existing materials and products as long as possible. So in this way, the life cycle of the product is extended, right? And so when you're trying to practice, you have something and then it gets spoiled, you try to fix it, repair it in order to continue using it, you're already practicing a circular economy. When you are trying to, instead of buy something new, if there is something you know you can use just once or twice, there is no need buying it and keeping it for long. You can loan it, like borrow it from someone, or pay to use it for a particular period of time. And over that, there was a point I was talking to my friend about buying a car and then having it in Nigeria. Whenever I come back to Nigeria, I could use it and all that. And it was like, why do you want to buy a car? And when you come to Nigeria, which you rarely visit, you use it once or 2 weeks, you pack it again, and then you leave. Why not just rent a car when you come back to Nigeria? Use it for the 2 weeks that you want to stay. All this kind of thinking, right? People need to start thinking about, it's not a problem of whether you have the money to buy the car or not, but trying to think about all this is going to help us. Because of time constraint, I would have loved to go into detail about the circular economy, and then we can begin to see where chemists play significant role in all of this. But I'm just going to skip this slide and move ahead so that this presentation doesn't sound so boring. I'll be happy with gone half of the whole presentation. The next thing we are going to be doing now is to look at chemistry itself and the sustainability practice within chemistry and the product that chemistry offers out there. So right now, if there's any question that is coming up, I'm happy to take them. But if there is none, I'm happy to also move ahead. So do we have any questions so far?
No question yet.
All
No
right.
questions yet.
Okay, so I might just continue, and probably at the end, I'll be happy to take questions. Not just questions, if you have any view, right? Because this is all a learning process for everyone. So we're here to interact, to kind of learn from each other and all that, by reorganizing our living condition in the form of eco-villages and sustainable cities. Yeah, so I guess that is one of the sustainable things we're talking about. Okay, so it's good that people are trying to think about sustainability. I want you to think about sustainability local, not what the international body think about it. Think about it within your own environment. What do you think you are doing, or what do you need to do to ensure that there is this sustainability within your own community, within your own family house? How sustainable are you in your practice? Okay. All right. Thank you, Richness and Mara and all that. Okay, so in the absence of questions, let's paddle on. Let's keep going. So the next question, like I told you, I would like to ask is, where is the place of chemistry in all of this? So we've started from where the problem started, how innovation and industrial revolutions have kind of get us through from the Iron Age, from the Stone Age through the Iron Age to where we are today, where we're not talking about a smart future, right? But along the line of this industrialization, we've created a whole lot of problems for the environment of ourselves. And chemistry itself has contributed a large portion of creating this problem, even though we know that chemistry has also done a whole lot in order to make the world a better place. But now we have to have a rethink of how we do things, what we do, and how we go about them, in order to make sure that the planet is still conducive for the future generations who are going to come after us. So it's going to be selfish for us to continue to act as if after us, we don't really care about the children we are going to give birth to that are going to come on this planet. So the question is, will chemistry ever be sustainable? I have a friend whom each time you mention the word chemical to, chemical sounds to him as if you have just mentioned toxic. So anything chemical simply is synonymous to toxicity for my friend. And so let's look at chemistry and environment, right? Okay, so before now we've seen the discovery of oil and how things around that has played out, fossil fuels damaging the environment, and now people are thinking of reducing our environmental footprint through sustainable practices. And chemists themselves are looking at the platform of chemicals where the flow of chemistry, colloidal nanocatalysis, hydrothermosynthesis, materials, biorefinery, these are the things that chemists are thinking about. Then you look at the innovation that is going in automobile industry. We are now talking about electric vehicles and being able to power your vehicle with resources that can be recycled with renewable energy, battery, solar panels, and what have you. So these are the innovative thinking that are out there in which people are trying to say, this is what we have to do in order to make sure that future generation still meets their own needs. But then the question now is, what is actually sustainable chemistry? And what is green chemistry? Most times people use these two words interchangeably. So for me, I would see green chemistry as a tool to achieve sustainable chemistry. So to just make that clear enough, you can see that sustainable chemistry is a scientific concept. It is a scientific concept that seeks to improve the efficiency with which natural resources are used to meet human needs for chemical products and services. So this includes the design, the manufacture, and the use of efficient, effective, safe, and more environmentally friendly chemical products and processes. So this is all about sustainable chemistry. On the other hand, green chemistry is the design of chemical products itself and processes that reduce or eliminate the generation of hazardous substances. So you can now see that green chemistry is only a tool for us to achieve sustainable chemistry. And if you agree with me on that note, I would like to move ahead and then start looking at some chemical reactions that have changed the world. So I have said ab initio that chemistry have a whole lot of blame with respect to what we've done on this planet to destroy the planet itself. But there are a whole lot of gains as well. So look at the inventions that have changed the world. Let's start from the first 5 inventions that I've just adapted from this book. Penicillin. Alexander Fleming discovered penicillin in about 1929, but it was until 1939 that Howard Florey worked out how to make it into useful quantities, right? They were among the first drug that was kind of synthesized against bacterial infections. Look at the polythene bags that you use today. These are products of chemistry. Contraceptive pills that was first discovered in Germany, in Mexico, where we realized that there are some kind of hormone, progesterone, in a special Mexican yam that we can actually use to develop contraceptive pills. Or look at even the computer, the phone, your television that you use today, which are all based on liquid crystals. Those are products of chemistry. Or look at agriculture. Without ammonia, how can you get your own fertilizer? The Haber process, the Haber-Bosch process that gives you ammonia, which you use for making your fertilizer. These are the things, these are products of chemistry that have changed the world in the right sense of it. And there are some others. Look at the soap you use, through which we can produce by saponification. Look at today, the world is fighting a deadly disease, COVID-19. And one of the diagnostic way we can find out if someone is infected is by reverse transcription PCR. So which is just a modified method of the polymerase chain reaction, PCR. These are all findings of, be it biochemistry or chemistry itself. Synthesis of urea, atomic bomb, right? Nuclear reaction, those ones that have the negative impacts. The polyethylene, those ones that have negative impacts. These are all what chemistry has brought to the world. So while there are good ones, there are also bad ones. But the question is, are there ways we can limit the number of damages that chemical practices have on our society, and then promote alternative pathways that are going to guarantee sustainability? And the answer is yes. So that will lead me to talking about 12 principles of green chemistry, which I have said before is a race to sustainability in chemistry. So there are 12 principles that green chemistry is looking at. One is waste prevention, the atom economy, and what have you. So because of time constraint, I'm just going to dive straight into those principles, and then we can start talking about those principles. Okay, so the first is waste prevention. So what does this principle actually state? It simply states that it is better to prevent waste than to treat or clean up waste after it is formed. So plan ahead to minimize waste at every step. I could remember while in Nigeria, in Delta State, I grew up in Delta State, and I have this neighborhood where the police will always come to make a whole lot of arrests, and they usually come to a bar where people sit and drink. And each time a police is walking to that bar, everyone who is taking a drink will leave their drink and then run away. And when you talk to those guys, they have this slang they will always use on you and tell you that vroom is better than you giving statements. So in Igbo language, they would like say vumkama carrier statement, that kind of thing. Okay, so that means prevention is better than you trying to develop a cure for it. So when you are thinking about chemical synthesis, it is better to think about the best possible way to prevent waste. All right. So you can apply this to anything you are doing in the lab. Ask yourself, the reactant, the solvent you are bringing together, what amounts of waste are they going to produce? Because these wastes are actually what are contaminants, what destroy and continue to destroy the environment. So lucky enough, we have a way of you trying to figure out if what you are doing is going to be part of sustainable practice by what we call E factor, which is environmental factor. The formula is given a total waste or your byproduct all over the total product itself. So if you run a synthesis and you weigh and the total thing, the byproduct and your product, which is what you're trying to synthesize, is let's say 10 grams. And out of these 10 grams, 8 grams is your waste. The E factor is simply going to be 4, which is 8/2. So the higher the E factor, the less sustainable that reaction is. So you need to think about the E factor when you are doing things. So there are some E factor that are already known. If you are dealing in terms of oil refinery, your E factor should always be about 0.1 or less than that. Bulk chemicals, if you're using bulk chemicals in your lab, your E factors should be less than 15. If you're using fine chemicals, it should be between 5 and 50. Pharmaceuticals, between 25 and 100 plus. So if you really want to contribute to having a sustainable society, you have to make sure that you prevent waste products. Then the second is the atom economy. Here we look at the synthetic method should be designed to maximize the incorporation of all materials used into the final product. So we want, if you are going to mix up A, B, C to get A, B, that means that C or C transformed to D is going to be a byproduct that you don't need. You ask yourself, is there a way I could mix A, B, and maybe E so that my final product is still A, B, and E without a byproduct? So that is what we mean by atom economy. I'll give you an example. Look at what we have here. How do I calculate my atom economy? I calculate the molecular weight of my desired product, and then the sum of the molecular weight of my starting materials. All right. So if you look at the Adele reaction, for instance, where in the first reaction we have 100% atom economy because all the reactants have been fused into the product. But in the second reaction, which is the weighted reaction, not all the reactions have been fused into my major product. So I have 35% atom economy. But if you want to design a reaction, try to design reactions with higher percent of atom economy. When you are doing that, you are practicing green chemistry. And then the third is less hazardous chemical synthesis. Here we are talking about wherever practicable. I want you to have this word in mind, wherever practicable. Synthetic methodologies should be designed to use and generate substances that possess little or no toxicity. Now, the problem with this principle, this third principle, is that most chemists out there try to hide under the impression of the wherever practicable to tell you that the process they are trying to adopt, that it is not practicable to design a synthetic methodology that produces less hazardous chemical compound. Now, let's give an example of that. If you look at the nylon that is used to make your tie, the polyurethane that is used for your paint, or even the PVC that you use for the window of your glass covering and all of that. There is one thing that all of these materials contain, that is adipic acid. So before now, adipic acid is being synthesized from benzene. Benzene has been shown to have some carcinogenic effects, so which means it could cause cancer, right? So green chemistry is now looking at a better way to produce adipic acid as opposed to using benzene, right? And what we have now is that we can use glucose to do this. Glucose is sugar, is harmless to the society, to your environment, and what have you. So using glucose to get your adipic acid, which you can now use in the production of, say, PVC, nylon, or whatever it is, it's a sustainable practice. It's a green chemistry. These are ways that people are thinking about practicing green chemistry. Then the fourth is designing safer chemicals, right? Chemical products should be designed to prevent efficacy of functions while reducing toxicity, right? So a typical example is the AVQ polymer, which are using the binder technology that reduces titanium 4 oxide, because titanium 4 oxide on its own is also carcinogenic. Is there a way for us to design a process that kind of reduces the amount of these toxic chemicals? And the EvoQ polymers provide improved coverage at lower titanium 4 level. Okay, and this with a reduced carbon emission and water consumption. So so we can continue to go all the way to safer solvents, auxiliaries, making sure that the solvent that we are using and whatever we are trying to bring in for what's it called, in order to carry out separation of our chemical compounds that we've produced, we put all these things into consideration, try to use limited amounts of them. Then we can go on to look at design for energy efficiency. If there is a way you can carry out your reaction without heating, then do it. If there is a way, for instance, you can carry out your separation technique without utilizing a whole lot of energy, do it, right? So I'm going to try to kind of run through all this because we're already running out of time, but then later on you can watch all these videos, and if there's anyone who needs a slide, I'm happy to share the slide. We have principle 7, use of renewable feedstocks. We have reducing derivatives. These are all practices that we can kind of employ using catalysis. Catalysis could shorten your reaction time. It could increase your yield, and then you can recover this catalyst at the end and use it for some other reactions. These are ways of ensuring that we're trying to reuse or recycle or do things that are really green chemistry that can promote sustainable practices. Then try to design materials that could biodegrade. So chemical products should be designed so that at the end of their function, they do not persist in the environment. So we are looking at ensuring that both chemicals and their degradable products are not bioaccumulative and they are environmentally friendly and does not persist in the environment. And then we have the real-time pollution prevention. And last but not the least is the safer chemistry for accident prevention. So all of these are the core 12 principles of green chemistry, through which sustainable chemistry can be assured. And just to wrap up, I want to tell you that a whole lot of things are already going on. A whole lot of researchers out there are already thinking green. There are a whole lot of examples of recent green chemistry reports. These ones that I have here are just reports that have been published just this year. So you can see what people are doing, looking at ways to capture CO2 from the environment, looking at green solvent selection, and what have you, improving batteries, developing metal-organic frameworks to capture toxic materials and what have you, and all that. And so in summary, I will simply say that the metrics we could use to know how green the chemistry we practice is to look at the atom economy, which we have mentioned before now, then the environmental factor, which I've shown you how to calculate, the life cycle analysis of the product. Is it going to be biodegradable at the end? Then the energy usage. Is there a way you can conserve energy when you're using whatever you're using? Solvent selection. Is there a way you can use minimum amount of solvent and solvent that are innocuous? Is there a way you can quantify or characterize your own waste in such a way that you can recycle them? So these are the things that hopefully we've been able to cover all in this presentation. And so in conclusion, I will simply say that green chemistry is a tool in achieving sustainability. However, it is not a solution to all environmental problems. So we should know that. And then fundamental approach to pollution prevention is very, very key to green chemistry. And green chemistry on its own is unique contribution to sustainability. Think about the consequences of the choices that you make. And when you do this, think green. And last but not the least, protect the environment and protect the future. And for that, I will say thank you for listening. I'm happy to take any brief question that we've got. And in absence of one, thank you for listening. Okay, we've got a question. It's a plastic waste challenge, recycling or biodegradables. Which do you think is more feasible strategy for Nigeria? Okay, first, I want to start by saying that whichever is best for us is going to start from how consumers are thinking. Here in the UK, people could boycott buying a particular product because of its sustainability. Do you think there are people in Nigeria who would say, I wouldn't buy this because it's going to cause pollution to my environment? Nobody's going to think about that. So the individual, the citizens, have to start thinking sustainable in the first place. And when they do, we cannot begin to force the manufacturers, the producers, to also think sustainability, right? So we are talking about recycling, but the question that follows this is, do we have the capacity to recycle? Are there people who are even interested in that? And because there are no people out there in Nigeria who are probably interested in this recycling we're talking about, probably adopting a biodegradable product would be the best for me. But remember that not everything would have the option of being produced with biodegradable. So where we don't have the option of using a biodegradable material, then we can always resort to recycling. So that's my answer to that. Please, I need the slides. All right, I'm gonna send a PDF version of the slide to Chinechirem, and anyone that need it can get it from him. Which UN SDG goal does chemistry fall under? How do I answer this question? Because, for instance, let's look at the SDG goals. No poverty. I think the question, the problem we have is that we usually think about these goals as a single entity. They are not single entity. There are a whole lot of problems. There are a whole lot of factors that could cause poverty, right? One of them could be that if the environment is not sustainable, if there is a farmer out there in Niger Delta who, for instance, depends on fishing or cultivating a plot of land to make a living, if there is anything like oil spillage, you will see that this farmer will not be able to grow his crops. And this farmer we run the risk of going hunger and being poor. So you can see that the activity of a chemist, for instance, who has the function of dealing with the oil spillage and whatever it is, has gone ahead to cause hunger for some people and to kind of prevent those people from having the economic power to kind of fend for themselves. So for each of these goals, you will always see that there could be a link from one point to the other. If you look at even gender equality, you say, how does a chemist even provide a solution for gender equality? The question is, what does gender equality mean to you? Equal opportunities. So if we have a system that kind of does not support women to practice chemistry, it means that women in chemistry are going to be limited. And so while equality might be out there in every section of the society, within chemistry practices, we do not have that equality for whatever reason. So remember, ab initio, I have mentioned something about we trying to think about sustainable development together with the three pillars of sustainability, which is the social aspect, the environmental aspect, and the economic viability. So each time you want to think about each of these sustainable goals, you must incorporate these three pillars. And when you do that, you'll be able to say that, yes, in one way or the other, the actions and inactions of yourself, myself, and every other one out there impact in one way or the other to the sustainable goals. All right. Thank you guys. Thank you for listening. Thank you for the time. I think we probably ran over by a few minutes. It's good to have you guys. One word that I have for you is just for you to go out there, think sustainability. And the truth about the matter is that some people also ask the question of how viable is it for developing nations to start thinking about sustainability? But the truth about the matter is that if things are very hard for developing nations, to be honest, sustainability practice will be more important to those developing countries because it's cheaper. When we are talking about recycle, reusing something, that means you trying to have one thing and repeatedly use it and extend the life cycle so that you don't have to spend more to gain extra new stuff. So always think about sustainable practice and don't think about what people around you are going to be saying. Maybe they're going to be looking at you as a poor person and all that. After all, a rich person doesn't really care what you think about him being poor because he knows he's got what he needs. All right, so to that, I will simply sign off and say thank you guys and hope you will start today, if you've not been thinking about it, to think about sustainability. Bye.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, Mr. David Izobu. What an enlightening session it has been. And sincerely, one of the decisions, as when we are talking about environmental matters, one of the things that are important is change of lifestyle. And when he was talking about, when you want to get food, rather than buying a takeaway, why not go with a flask? So I decided that from today, I should rather use a flask than, you know, showing that I'm a big boy by using takeaway. Put it in one takeaway. You even pay extra money for things that are making the environment less sustainable. So, change of lifestyle is good, and I hope every one of us, it has been an enlightening session. Um, like we all know, this was brought to us by American Chemical Society, University of Nigeria, and Soka chapter. And I want to use this opportunity to say a very big thank you first to our speaker for the immense sacrifices he actually um, he did um, to make this day a reality. Beyond the fact that he spoke elaborately to us, is also the fact that he played so many important role in making this session a reality. I know he was up late night yesterday because we are trying to make sure that we will not have technical issues when we start. I also want to say he actually spent his money also in the course of this event. And all of us from American Chemical Society and every student from University of Nigeria and Soccer, I know we are all grateful for it. I also want to say a very special thank you to the first person that spoke, that gave us a brief talk on ACS, our able secretary, Irene. Thank you very much. Thank you for making today a reality. I also want to say a very big thank you to the SCSM president and all the persons working with them that also gave us their support. My special thanks goes to every member of ACS who actually helped in planning this event. And today is actually the first webinar we are hosting. And we think this is worth doing more. The platform we use to host this webinar belongs to Africa of Our Dreams Initiative, the organization that our speaker is the founder and the chairman of the board of trustees. They are into a whole lot of things, and one of them is helping students to get scholarship opportunities and helping you through the processes. So you may want to check that out. There is a video on the platform. You may want to watch it, go through it, see the things they are doing, see the things they have already done. And like you know, the speaker is one of us. He was a first class graduate of chemistry from the University of Nigeria and Suka. And also, he also had a distinction in his master's from the university in Japan, and then presently is a PhD fellow in the University of Cambridge. Once again, thank you for coming out. Thank you for joining us. And if you have any, if you need the slide, please place a request. Yeah, people in the comment box are actually thanking us. I don't know if Chuxi will have okay questions time to answer. I don't know if this is a question. Okay, I don't know if Chuxi would like to answer this question briefly, just with 1 minute. Please, sorry, I'm calling our speaker Chixty. That was the popular name that we knew him when he was actually coming up for NAP's president. Election, I know he won, but it was cancelled. Let me not say rigged, but it was cancelled. So let me go over to you. Please, can you answer the question from Ime Fortune? Um, Dr.
Okay.
Chooks, how do you
Right.
see?
I thought I left already. Yeah, so how do you see the world in 50 years' time with respect to green chemistry and population explosion? Well, generally around the world, some countries are going to be experiencing decline in the population. For instance, at the current point, Japan is already having more elderly men than the youth. But countries like Nigeria is going to experience explosion. So there was this article I read by McKinsey where they were comparing what is going to happen across countries. So most countries, population-wise, are going to have decline in their population. But some countries, like Nigeria in particular, is going to have population explosion. So in 50 years, we expect that we are going to be much more in number than what we have today. So this means that we have to start thinking about the best way to actually distribute our resources so that we can actually take care of the needs of these future generations that we're going to bring in. So birth control is not really a thing in Nigeria, especially when you look at those people who still marry more than one wife, those who just give birth from 7 and above, and all that. But when you move over to developing countries, you see people, a child, two is just enough, right? So imagine if a woman comes together with a man to get married and then they give birth to just a child and they're just okay with that. Or they give birth to two and they're okay with that. It means that the people that will give birth to one, if we assume that they are trying to replace themselves, two people came together and gave birth to one, right? So that means that if these other two people ages and dies, then the only replacement they have is one person. So that is going to lead to a decline. Why some people are not even interested in getting married. Okay, but it's not the same in Nigeria. So for now, our population is going to continue to increase, right? So then you're talking about green chemistry in Nigeria. I think we are still very far away. The question you ask yourself is how conducive are the laboratories? Are people thinking about safety first? Because you can't be thinking about green chemistry without thinking about safety. So there is this keyword, safety first. The laboratory where you are handling your experiment, how safe are they to yourself? Okay. So in 50 years' time, I strongly believe that green chemistry is going to have an improvement in Nigeria, but we are not going to be meeting the targets. We still have much more to do. So that is my submission.
Okay. And I don't know, can you just react briefly to this other question?
How do we prevent or
And we
treat
are
crude
done.
oil from polluting our rivers? You see, these are national goals. It's not something that a university can do, right? Or something that I myself can do. There needs to be policy, there needs to be sanctions. Refineries in Niger Delta continue to flake gases, and nobody give a damn about what they are doing. Oil exploration is damaging the environment, and nobody cares. For how many years we've been talking about the cleaning of Ogoni land? Have the federal government been able to do that till date? We need to put the right set of people in government. We need to stop ethnic division, tribalism, and all of this determining who we support during elections. We need to make sure that we have technocrats in government who can help map out policies that is going to hold these oil companies accountable. There are a whole lot to be done. All we need is the will, the leadership to do it. It's not something an ordinary individual can do. Government owe it to us, owe it to the people of Niger Delta to do what? To take drastic action to make sure that that environment is sustainable for the people that live there. So that is my submission to that.
Okay. Thank you. And I want to ask us, do you think you want to have another session with Chooks, especially in the area of getting overseas scholarship, especially for postgraduate studies? Chooks
Okay,
started enjoying scholarship opportunities. Okay.
sorry for cutting you short. Now that you mentioned this, we are having a plan for an outreach. It's going to be online. and that will be held on 21st and 22nd August. Although this outreach is focusing on higher education and accessibility in Cambridge and top universities like Cambridge. So even if you feel that, because most times there are people I've spoken to, and after speaking to them, they will tell me, okay, I would try to apply to Cambridge. But before now, the impression they have is that Cambridge is way over there while they are here. So they wouldn't even dare try to make the application. So in August, on August 21st, it's going to be a Friday, and 22nd, which is going to be Saturday, we are bringing people from admission office. We are bringing people from departments, people who make decisions on scholarship offers, people who make decisions on admission processes in Cambridge, both at the departmental level and at the university-wide level. We are going to be bringing people from Gates Scholarship Board to come and speak. And then we're also going to invite Africans who have taken a journey from Africa to getting scholarship to come study in Cambridge. So it's going to be a power pack event. So don't miss it. If you're not following the foundation, it's brought to you by the Foundation Africa for Our Dream Initiative. If you're not following the foundation on YouTube, if you're watching from the YouTube, all you have to do is just subscribe to the YouTube channel and click on the notification so that once we post the live event, you'll be able to see it. You can like our page on Facebook. You can also follow us on Twitter or Instagram. These are places where we are. You can get all our information on there. You can also visit the website. So even if you don't have plans of coming to Cambridge, it's going to be an amazing event for you because, for instance, we realize that when people graduate, when they want to, for instance, write their personal statements, the problem is usually not how to write the personal statement, but they don't have content to build their personal statement. So if you're in your first year of your university, then second year, third year, final year, or you've graduated already, this event is for you. If you're in first year, it's even better for you so that you can hear us and then begin now to plan that journey so that when you graduate from the university, it even becomes more easy for you to access the opportunities that are out there. So just look out for the advert. Hopefully, in 1 week or two, we are going to kind of start advertising that. So I hope to see you guys there.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And this brings us to the end of this event. Remember, this event is actually done in celebration of World Nature Conservation Day. Today, we are thinking nature, we are thinking chemistry, we are thinking what do we do to help the future generation not have a depleted resources, depleted environment. And like you have heard today, go and do likewise. Thank you for joining us. My name remains Chinecherem Ugu, the president. Bye until another time, until we come your way another time. Take good care of yourself. Stay safe because COVID-19 is still out there. So observe all the regulations, social distancing, wear your mask. Thank you. Thank you. So I'm going off. You can do likewise. Thanks.